Alright, so we're moving on to 16.2 part 2. So if we look at this chart, this is what we covered yesterday of multiplying those number of hours and multiplying it by 60 in order to get how many minutes. You also will have that chart to help you on a lot of these slides. So now converting hours and minutes to minutes. So this was just where you had to add those additional minutes. So you're converting those hours and then adding those additional minutes to get a total. So this is all the stuff that we did yesterday. This is a great chart to refer back to help you as we continue moving on. So what we're looking at today is converting minutes to hours and minutes. So let's look at the first example. Marshall takes 135 minutes to mow the lawn. How many hours and minutes are there in 135 minutes? So our first step here is to look at our total minutes. We want to think about how many hours we can pull out of here. So this is where it's really helpful to kind of start memorizing how many minutes are in probably about the first 1 through 5 hours. So we know 1 hour is 60 minutes, 2 hours is 120 minutes. So basically what's going on in her thought process here, 3 hours is 180 minutes. So we want to get as close as possible to the minutes that they have here to figure out how many hours we can pull out. So the closest without going over to 135 is the 120. So we're going to separate these now into 120 minutes and 15 minutes. We're then going to take our 120 minutes, which is right here, and convert that into the hours. So that's going to now become 2 hours. So you can look at it here and kind of think of it as a number bond here. So we're pulling out how many minutes of an hour we possibly can, and then thinking about what is left. So this is the chart that I'm talking about that we'll be using a lot. So Samantha plays the piano for 82 minutes. How many hours and minutes are in 82 minutes? So our first goal here is to be thinking about how many hours can we pull out of here, but we have to think about it as minutes first. So this is where we want to go over to the chart. So we're thinking about this 82 and we can't go over it. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. We could do that. 2 hours is 120 minutes. That brings us over, so that is not going to work. So we have to stick with this 60 minutes here. And then we're thinking if we're separating 60 minutes and 82, basically what we're thinking here is of subtracting. So 82 minus 60 to get what's left over. So 2 minus 0 is 2, 8 minus 6 is 2, so we're left with an additional 22 minutes. We're then going to convert these 60 minutes into hours. That is 1 hour, and then our minutes here will stay. So we now have 1 hour and 22 minutes in 82 minutes. Alright, so let's keep practicing. So 90 minutes. We're going to go over to our chart and think how much can we pull out. So we're thinking 90. Yes, we could pull out 60 minutes. No, we cannot pull out 120 minutes. That goes over the 90, so we have to stick with this one. So we're going to separate it and have 60 minutes, and then we need to think 90 minus 60 is 30, and then we are converting this 60 minutes into 1 hour, and then we'll have those 30 minutes still. Alright, so the next one, 130 minutes. So let's go over to our chart. We can pull out 60 minutes, that would work. Then we want to keep going until we are almost going over that. So then 120 minutes, that still works because we started with 130. 180 does not, that goes over. So we're going to stick with this 120 minutes. So we can think about, we're going to separate 120 minutes. Let me type this so it's not so sloppy. Alright, so we're going to have 120 minutes, and then when we think about what's left over, we still have another 10 minutes, and then we're going to convert our 120 minutes to those 2 hours. and then the 10 minutes will stay. So we have 2 hours and 10 minutes for number 7. Now number 8, 145 minutes. So again, we're going to go over to our chart, and we're thinking about what's the highest amount of minutes we can pull out that can be converted to an hour. So 60 minutes we can do, 120 minutes we can do, 180 we cannot, so we're going to stick with 120. So it's going to be a little similar to the next one. So this is number 8. So we're going to separate it into 120 minutes plus, now you need to be thinking 145 minus 120, 25 minutes. And then we're converting those 120 minutes to hours, so that's equal to 2 hours. And then we still have those 25 minutes left over. And then for number 9, so we're starting with 192 minutes. So we're going to go to our chart and think about how many minutes can we pull out that's equivalent to an hour. So 60 minutes, yes, we could do. 120 minutes, yes, we could do. 180 minutes, yes, we could do. 240 goes too high, so we have to stop there because we had 192 minutes, so we're going to take out 180. So we'll have 180 minutes, and now we need to be thinking about 192 minus 180 in order to figure out how many minutes are left. So I would suggest doing the work if you have paper at home, or you can do it right on the screen, just so once we get to higher numbers that you're not getting confused here. So 180 minutes, and then we're thinking about what is left over. There are 12 minutes left over. And then we want to think about 180 minutes was 3 hours. So now this becomes 3 hours, 12 minutes for number 9. So again, here's a really helpful chart that you can use when you're doing all of your work. I would suggest keeping this up while you do your workbook today. Okay, it runs you through each step, so that way you make sure that you are following it the way you need to do it. So first step is to brainstorm those hours and minutes. You'll have a chart to help you on the slide. So think, how many hours can you pull out and their equivalent minutes. Find the number of hours that are close to the amount of minutes. So for example, if they're giving us 135 minutes, it's closest to 120, which is 2 hours. And then last step is to figure out how many leftover minutes. So you want to subtract your total that you started with from how many minutes that are equivalent to an hour to figure out what you have left. So for today you're doing the Let's Practice. This is slide 8. And then once you finish, you need to raise your hand. And then you are doing workbook pages 149 and 150 today. Don't forget to take a picture on Seesaw and put it in the math folder once you finish. Good luck, and use that chart. It's really going to help you go step by step.